Hey guys, this is the light. I am in bed because it is cold and it's raining outside. But I want to do a little bit of a different video. I want to be able to share I want to be able to share stories about my life and some of the things that I've been through and the lessons that I've learned and the lessons that I'm currently learning. So let me readjust because this is serious and I need to sit up. So yeah. So this story is about when I first lived in Africa and a guy that I was seeing. So when um I first lived in Africa, there was a guy that I dated, and he was Fulani. And when he initially came around, I wasn't attracted to him. But time after time, he still showed up, regardless of me being attracted to him. He showed up. If I needed something, he was willing to take me to handle whatever the task was. Or, he would just stop by and, drop things off and just make sure that I was okay. He did speak English. I'm not sure where he picked it up, but he did speak English. And, for the most part, I wasn't interested in him because I was there for a purpose and I wasn't thinking that I would meet somebody, so I didn't pursue it right away. But as time went on, he turned out to be a really good friend and a really reliable person. And we would do a lot of things together. Like, we would go into town together, we would go shopping, we would go out to restaurants together. We would just really hang out and really enjoy each other. Like, he would show me the town. He would take me out in the night and in the daytime too. It wasn't just in the night, but just at all times. And if I ever called him, he would always show up. And now, as I'm saying, it's it hurts me so bad that this relationship did not turn out. And I'm going to tell you why it didn't turn out and how to not let this happen to you. So, when he and I dated, I think I was 25 years old. And I had never been I can't say I haven't been in a serious relationship, but I didn't have a lot of experience. And it just seems like everyone who I knew was against the relationship, and just looking back on it, kind of disappointed in myself, but at the same time, maybe it just really was not meant to be. I was in Niger as a missionary. Well, I didn't call myself a missionary. That was the title that people put on me, but I was a Christian. I'll say that. And I wanted to go and support my friend at her school. And I really had loved Niger. And I just wanted to be there. I wanted to be there. That was in the back of my mind. When I went back home from the first time I went to Niger, when I came back home after the mission trip, it was I just didn't have no peace. I wasn't satisfied. Something in me was you have to go back there. So I did. And he was one of the first people I met, and nice guy, respectable. He was of a different faith, which I can only guess that's why people were so against the marriage, because Niger is mostly Muslim. It's 96% Muslim, and it's maybe 3% Christian. And the people that I knew there, they were mostly Christian. And so it's just, I don't know, people just didn't like him. I don't know why. I can't call it. They just didn't. And this is where I went wrong. He was an awesome guy. Nothing was wrong with him. Nothing was wrong with him at all. He was perfect in every sense of the way. But me, I was at an age where I was not confident in myself, and I didn't know how to be in a relationship because I have never seen that portrayed. So even if we had continued, I don't know if it would have lasted. Even with him being as awesome as he is, he can only tolerate so much and still maintain his manhood. But, I had never seen what a relationship was like, but I know on a friendship level, I was 100% his friend. 100% his friends. Romantically, relationship wise, I probably didn't have all the qualities, but friendship, everything was there. We had fun, we laughed, we enjoyed each other's company. But where I went wrong is when I lived in Niger, I had some people that I socialized with. It was a specific family, and then it was also a lady that I had met that I had went when the first time I went to Niger, I met her and we stayed friends, and she was Christian and she was from Cameroon, and I call her my auntie. I met up with her, and then it was like some of the teachers I used to work with. Um, they also just seemed to not like him, and even the person who I was in Niger with, like my friend who I went to work for, they like everybody discouraged the relationship, and it got into my heart and it got into my head, and I allowed people to talk me out of the relationship based on the religion because the best thing I could say is I wasn't confident in the decisions that I was making. I think I always second guessed myself, and I always needed um, reaffirming by another person. So, like when I returned back to America after the first year of living in Niger, I I like all I did was talked about him like the whole time, and I guess it like turned my friends off, and it turned them off in a way to where they kind of like talked about me behind my back because I had only talked about him, but they didn't understand like what a wonderful person he was to me. And so, they were saying, if I would be with him, he could take another wife if he wanted to. If I would be with him, I would have to become Muslim, or either he would have to turn Christian, and they would say, once he gets you and he married you, like all the things that he did to get you, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna continue those things after he married you. Like all the lovey dovey and wonderful things is gonna stop once I'm his wife. And so it's just all of those things, people saying it like, oh, not over and over and over, but you know, in me wanting to continue with the relationship, I tried to connect him with the pastor because he was willing. He was willing. He was open. I know he was Muslim, but he was willing. He was open. He wasn't really practicing, and I think that might have been more of the reason, but he wasn't really practicing. But he was willing. He was willing to talk to a pastor, and so we could be together. And, the pastor did not come through. He did not come through. And so, I tried to take, him to church with me, and, he wasn't really interested in it. He didn't connect with it, but he was there on an account of me. And then someone was saying, like, oh, you can't take him to church because he'll only do it because he wants the relationship. So I had so many voices in my head that was kind of just saying that I shouldn't go through with it. So the second time when I went back to Niger, I wasn't as nice to him based off of based off of me wanting to end it. But he was the only person that was kind of like around, like he was persistently there. He was persistently around. But just based off of what my friends and my aunt and what everybody was telling me, and like when he would come, people would get like upset. Like my aunt, she wouldn't smile at him at all. She wouldn't crack a smile at him to save her life. And I had started living with her for a little bit because the person I was living with before, we weren't really getting along. And it was part to do with the person wanting to kind of dictate things to me. And I've been on my own since I'm 16, and I just was not comfortable with having a life where a person would dictate the things I needed to do. Like, I don't mind suggestions and I don't mind being encouraged, but I don't like a person telling me what to do. I don't need to be controlled. I like to be able to make my own decisions. And I was an adult by that time. I'm 25 years old. So, I just didn't gel with that. And so I was with my aunt, and, I think she even started praying him away. Like she was praying him away and everything. So, in the end, I ended up getting with somebody else. Um, I had finally broken it off with him. He didn't do, he didn't do anything bad to me. It was maybe one time where I heard another woman on the phone, but I had like moved back to America and I had told him it was over with, so I couldn't expect that he wouldn't have moved on with his life. But the second time when I got back, the relationship was different, and I think that it was done at that point, but it just took us time. And of course, I think he was going to try to continue with it despite, how things had changed, but it just ended up like not working out. So I say all of this to say, I think my point is that you have to be careful who you allow to speak to you about your marriage and about your relationship, because everyone is going to speak to you from their opinion, but a lot of times people don't take into consideration the situation that you're experiencing. And if a person have a negative idea or thought process about something, even though that may not be your situation, they're going to speak to you from that point. And I didn't have the wisdom at that time to recognize it. But, you just have to be careful about when you get something good and you know a man is good, you have to keep it to yourself. Don't brag to your friends. Don't tell your family. Don't ask people about it. Don't question it. If you have a good man, something in your spirit will tell you when it's good, it's good. And don't look to people for validation. Don't look to people for advice. It's like you have to know within yourself that it's good. And don't invite people in. Don't tell them what you're doing. I'm not saying not to hide the relationship. No, excuse me. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying when you have something good, you have to be careful, because sometimes, I don't want to say people are speaking from jealousy, but I really lost like a good thing from listening to people. Now, I'm not saying that it would have all panned out and worked out in the end, but I'm saying I regret that I listened to people in that certain situation. So